All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
You know, I forgot to tell you guys over the course of the last 2 days, which is, we started on Monday, Tuesday, today obviously being Wednesday. There was so much going on, including the launch of the show, President Trump coming on, that I left a couple things out. So in the new show format, obviously being 10 a.m. To noon every day, we are going to have guests. We are going to be doing guests. Why? We did not go back to the radio show. We love the radio show. Vince is doing a great job filling in. Vince calling Ace nationwide, noon to 3 in my former slot. We love Vince. And I got a lot of questions about this, understandably. And my sincere apologies to you guys, my beloved audience who's been with me through thick and thin. I didn't explain why. So just quick, it was doing the show on pod from 11 to noon as we did before. 10 to noon now. So it was obviously an hour. And then the 3 hours of radio along with the book and the Fox show at the time. It's not that it was too much work. It wasn't. It's probably half a work day. People work 8-hour days. It's not that. It was presenting the same content the same time over again in a different way to keep the audience, people who had stayed for all 4 hours, was a bit of a challenge. So we decided to expand this to 2 hours. That way we can cover it fresh each and every time, the content. I hope you guys understand. Vince is doing a great job. But also Formatics, we are going to add guests to this show because I liked interviewing people on the radio. It was a lot of fun. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm not the best interviewer in the world, but people have a lot of interesting things to say. I'm not the only interesting person on planet Earth by far. So we will be announcing the guest lineup for next week. It's going to be at about 11:30 or so. We'll bring the guest on every day. So the last half an hour of the show, we're going to get the best guests. We've got a really good lineup coming together for next week, I promise. If you'd like to be on the show and you're out there and you're a newsmaker and got something to talk about, let producer Jim know, and we'll try our best. So format change on that. Thank you also to Graham Allen on Rumble. He's got a great show for rating our stream every morning for the last couple of days. Really appreciate it. And just checking if the T-shirt today, you guys all right with it? Did it pass the Nicole Wallace test? Nicole Wallace, she apparently loves my T-shirt game. She is obsessed with it. I thought, I'm not dating. I'm just not doing it. You can stop asking. It's just getting weird and creepy at this point. Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction, Boiling Bunny stuff. But we'll see what she thinks, and she has a comment on today's shirt. This was for you, Nikki. We'll see what you think. All right, a lot to talk about today. Obviously, you saw James O'Keefe's video yesterday. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to a really frightening threat for all you parents out there online against your kids, and a whole bunch more. Border numbers, good stuff, some bad stuff, things that are happening, things that aren't happening. We got it all. Last year opened my eyes to a lot of things, certainly. One thing I found disturbing is a lot of the infighting going on the right. I've been talking about this a lot. We all agree, right, on freedom of speech, the right to life, the Second Amendment, supporting our military and first responders. We have to stay focused on these incredibly important issues. And we got to stop attacking each other. There's one company that's been fighting for our rights, and they supported this program from the very beginning. That's Patriot Mobile. Unlike other mobile providers, Patriot Mobile works on all 3 major networks. In fact, you can be on multiple networks on the same phone. More importantly, their customers enjoy priority service with the same or better quality as their old providers. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes switching fast and easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan and get a free month of service with the offer code Dan. Company's been fighting for things we all believe in for over a decade. They're a great company. I love having them. Patriot Mobile, support them, support companies, and support us. Make the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Dan. Again, patriotmobile.com/Dan. Gee, hit that bell. Yeah, daddy-o. All right, let's jump into the show. So yesterday, I was sitting home doing some show preparation. My life is show prep now. Had a different life for the last year. But I got to tell you, I love being online. I like digging into the issues. I'm an activist at heart. Said it 1,000 times. So I saw James O'Keefe at a video out. He's done some quality online, online work with this, with surveillance and things like that. And there was an FBI employee who had gone, I don't know if it was a date, an undercover date. I don't know how he does what he does. I'm not really sure. But the employee had said some disparaging things about Cash's leadership and all this, and it indicated that there were, never going to be any arrests in Minnesota. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. I do got a lot of stuff, and I kind of had to throw this in the last minute because I saw it last night. However, from what I hear today, that employee's been fired and let go, and the employee apparently doesn't know much because I think one of the things he had indicated in the video was that there were not going to be any arrests in Minnesota. So I don't know what agency he was working for, but he may have missed like the news reports and everything else and the indictments. Ski, if you could just throw that up on the screen. And by the way, it's just the beginning. This is from the local news over there, so you're not going to claim it's like some right-wing bias site or anything. FBI director provides update on the Minnesota fraud investigations. So far, there's been 78 indictments and 57 convictions, Patel said. He got some names up there. And from last time I remember, I think there's been even more. And I know the investigation's ongoing. Matter of fact, Tom Homan was out at a presser this morning, just before we came on the air, talking about how the investigation's ongoing. So again, this is one of those things where, the guy obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. So, however, listen, good work, man. Keep accountability matters. So we appreciate it. I wanted to get to this because this is really important. Matter of fact, I rarely put this stuff at the beginning of the show, but one of the things I saw from the inside that I don't think is getting out there enough, but if you're a parent or going to be a parent or anyone who's a parent, which is pretty much everyone listening to the show, I want you to pay very close attention to these three numbers. 764. 764. I had heard about it, but did not have, obviously, detailed law enforcement knowledge, given that I wasn't in law enforcement. There is a network of people out there, what they call the 764 network inside the FBI. And folks, if you haven't heard about them, look them up. I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time on it today, but it's important because it involves the safety of our kids. But second, it involves another critical issue, which is surveillance and civil liberties. They're interconnected on this. Here's where I'm going with this. This is a warning for parents. This group is disgusting. It is horrifying, the stuff they do. Matter of fact, we would get briefings in FBI headquarters, and our VCAC personnel, violent crimes against children, they would come in and they would brief us. And there's a big video screen in the conference room, like something you'd see like in a Netflix show. It screens, the clocks all over and everything like that. It's old, but it's still there. And I would ask every time, because one of these videos played one time of what these 764 people are sending to your kids in chat rooms and elsewhere. And folks, you can't unsee it. It is the most freaking horrifying thing. I'm not even going to, animal torture. I promise I'm not going to describe it because you'll throw up. It is the most disgusting thing. And one time one of these videos played, and I'm like, I don't need to, you can describe it to me. It's fine. I'm sorry. I can't, once that tortures your brain and tattoos in your skull, I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know how they can watch this stuff and go out and do their job. It's just horrifying. So I used to tell them, no more videos. No more, just tell me what's going on. I don't need to see it. I get it. I understand. What this network does is they find and hunt down your kids in these chat rooms for these online games and chat rooms elsewhere. Folks, you have to monitor this stuff. You have to monitor this stuff. It is not a small network of people. It is an enormous group of people looking to do horrible things to your kids. They get your kids to cut themselves. They get the kids to get involved in sexual abuse, and it's self-mutilation. Every single demonic thing you can think encompasses this 764 network. Now, we had done some work on it. Here's a DOJ press release on quite a few of these. It's a big focus of ours. Nihilistic violent extremism was the word they used for it, but it's largely 764 arrests, and we bumped them up, I think, by triple-digit percentages. But you can see with this press release, this was just some of the things we do. We took down some leaders of this enterprise overseas, but this is not some victory lap. They're still going. They are still going. They get your kids to mutilate, to torture animals. It is really horrible, horrible, and disgusting. I'm going to pivot in a second to an angle on this because there's a bit of a sticky wicket here with this. But just time out a second. I want to play this clip from Fox News. I think you can see the Christmas tree in the background of this clip. I just watched it before the show. It's Harris Faulkner talking about exactly this group of disgusting filth scumbag demons, and they are targeting your kids. Watch those chat rooms. Make sure you're doing whatever you can. Get your tech savvy friend over. to restrict access in these chat rooms with these kids because that's where they go and find them. Check this out.
One group specifically, it's called 764 rather. It's a network accused of using social media and gaming platforms to target and groom kids, pushing them to commit depraved acts of violence, killing their pets on camera, cutting deep into their skin, carving 764. Well, the FBI, again, is telling Fox News every field office across America is involved in tracking down the members of 764. We don't exactly know where they're based, though, and they are all over, so it's a big job. More than 350 subjects are under investigation alone, and they're connected to more than 2,000 cases where children were targeted and groomed online into committing horrific acts of violence against their families, their pets, themselves. And some of these schemes resulted in the victims killing themselves.
Not just one, folks. Not just one. Multiple suicides off this. This is a real problem. Watch those chat rooms. These kids are really tech savvy. Get your tech savvy friends over there. Look it up. Look up how to do it. Just go watch a video somewhere on how to limit and restrict these chat room access to only their friends. This is real. If you saw some of these videos, you will never unsee them again in your entire life. They are horrifying to watch. I saw a couple people in the chat room like public executions over this. That's how bad this is. You should be pissed off about it. Now, I bring this up because I feel a responsibility now to relay information to you about, within reason, obviously, about threats, what we can do about them, how to fix them. I feel like I was given the job for a reason, and I want to be sure that I inform you about threats you may not know about, or if you do know about them, how at least to mitigate them or prepare. And I can be able to stop everything. Fix those chat rooms. However, I remember being on the inside, and I would see a lot of articles like this when cases like this would come up, and they would say, like, whatever the gaming platform was, whatever, Roblox or what elsewhere, Roblox, I don't play the game, whatever it may be. But it would come up and they would say, you know, some kid was recruited in this chat room, the kid wound up killing themselves, and they'd say it was missed. And I would caution you guys about this. Be careful asking for FBI increased surveillance, government surveillance in general, not just FBI. It is a big deal. We want to be very cautious about, and I know Cash and I were very concerned, extremely concerned, and the proof is in the pudding about what we did about surveillance to put, you know, guardrails around it. I'm going to get this a little bit later in the show, but there's always going to be a trade-off. Yeah, I mean, you can have government agents watching every chat room all over America all the time, and you're probably not going to get any crime or anything like that. But I don't think we want that. And I know I don't. So that's a really sober analysis. I'll go into it in a little more depth later. I don't mean to just kind of, you know, polish it in the end. But I wanted to tie it into the 764 case as well. Because we can't and shouldn't be surveilling innocent Americans all the time. To look for, you know, you need an investigative predicate most of the time. So be careful with that. I just want to give you some good news too, because that's a really somber story. You know me, I'm not a black pillar. I'm not a doomer. I love living in the United States of America. I love living through the golden years of the Trump presidency, number 2. It was an incredible year, number 1. Can we do better? We can always do better. Has he done amazing things? Yes, he has. And I'm proud to be a part of it. So this show is going to always be balanced. There's a problem. We're going to talk about it. I just talked about the O'Keefe video to start the show. Bang, first thing out there. But when there's good news, we're going to highlight it too, because we've got midterms coming up and we can't lose. Don't fall for psyops to get you to stay home. Please don't. There will be an impeachment and we'll all be screwed. Here's just a couple of things I saw yesterday I picked out before we get to our media moron moment of the day, too, because we expose how the media is part of this psyop on the other side, too. Wall Street Journal, factory output. It's gone crazy. Factory output's through the roof. Fastest gain since 2022. Factories produce stuff. Stuff we are measured, our wealth, by stuff. That's just a fact. You say, well, we measure spiritual wealth. I'm not talking about spiritual wealth. Spiritual wealth is more important, period. I get it. I hope you got a great family. Your faith is outstanding. I hope that. I hope you have a great relationship with your kids. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about material wealth for now. That's what capitalism is. measuring material wealth is by products. We got to produce stuff. So when factory activity and productivity, stuff produced, they start pumping out widgets and cars. This is a good thing. Again, another victory lap for the Trump administration. I want to show you this too, because this is a number that has gotten lost in the maelstrom of news, bad news, good news, and different news over the last year. But it's a number so hard to fathom that I think if there's anything they should start chiseling rock on Mount Rushmore for this guy, it's the border. The border was total chaos. Millions of people flooding across our southern border. We saw videos. Bill Malugin used to be out there on Fox with the drone. Hey, man, look at this. We got another 10,000 people coming across today. It has trickled to 0 illegal migrants admitted into the country. 0, meaning the absence of value. Caroline Levitt put a tweet about this out yesterday. And I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this in context of what Homan said this morning in Minnesota in a second. But the tweet is just outstanding. It says the border is secure, but it was the chart she attached that you just got to look at. Because, bar graphs just kind of, the visuals are just stunning here. Look at these numbers. The encounters with migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border, the lowest level since 1970. I wasn't even born. I wasn't born for 4 more years. Look at the number, the Pew Research Center. Again, this is the kind of stuff that gets lost in the maelstrom of information. And it's not the president's fault. The president just does, what is the cliche, he walks and chews gum at the same time. He's dealing with Iran. He's dealing with Panama. He's dealing with Venezuela. He's dealing with tariffs. He's dealing with India. He's dealing with tax cuts. He's dealing with healthcare, the Medicaid problems, the billing problems, pharmaceuticals, HHS. He can't just talk about one thing all the time. But that one single bar graph is just absolutely stunning when you look at that in context. Amazing, those numbers. I'm bringing it up now because, you see a lot of this doomerism again going on online. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, the team folded in Minnesota. Folks, the team did not fold in Minnesota, okay? I have a pretty good idea about what's going on in Minnesota. Sometimes, folks, you take 10 steps forward and then you take 3 steps back. But ladies and gentlemen, you're still 7 steps ahead where you were than when you started. And then maybe you take a step forward at 8. And then maybe a step back to 7. And then 2 steps forward, 9. And then a step back to 8. You're still 8 steps ahead. And then eventually you get back to 10. That's how transactional deal making works in business and everywhere else. President Trump was on my show the other day. You may have seen it, but here's a quick clip of him talking about Minnesota. He's not taking any shit over there. There is a transactional nature to the way he does business because he wants things done. Reagan said this too. Reagan's old adage was you're not going to get 100% of you want. What you want, you take 80%, you come back for the other 20 later. That was from Reagan. He's the president. He's not a king. Everybody wants to call no more kings. He's a fascist. If he was a fascist, he'd just do it. If he was a king, correct? Correct? Jim. Thank you. Correct. If he was a king, he'd just do it. But he's not. Deals have to be made in politics. That is the dirty sausage making of politics. Here he is on my show the other day talking about Minnesota.
We want one thing in Minnesota. We can get out of there really fast. We want their prisoners. They've got jails with murderers, drug lords, rapists. They've got jails with the worst people. And they come out, Tren de Aragua. They come out, the worst gangs. We have the worst gangs. They have gangs that are so bad they look at you and they knife you up. We had it in Washington. They're all gone, by the way. They're all gone. But all we want is they have a lot of prisoners. They call it sanctuary city. And sanctuary cities are a disaster. So I put out an order, anybody that does a sanctuary city not getting any money. Let's see what happens. They'll get wiped out by these liberal courts. But the people understand. Nobody could do the job that we've done. Nobody. There's nobody. They wouldn't, they just go through a system.
Right.
You have to be very tough. Look, I took over a border where 25 million people came into our country, many of them murderers, 11,888 murderers, drug dealers, drug addicts all over the place. They always said they're drug addicts. They're people with trouble, alcoholics. They took over the mental institutions of their country, and they sent every single person in a mental institution over our border with Texas with their open border policies. So we have millions of people. Most of them are bad, to be honest with you, because they're not going to send their good people. They want their good people like we. We don't want to have our good people leave. They only send their bad people. And the best of their people are people that don't work. Those are the best ones. The people that came in and they don't work. And they don't want them either because they don't want to pay welfare. So they've sent all of their people, millions and millions of people. We have to get them out. And by the way, if Republicans don't get them out, you will never win another election as a Republican. If you don't get these people are all pitted, so they vote. And they make all this crap with the voting. Oh, well, you can vote. You can do whatever you want. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how you can get these people to vote. And if we don't get them out, Republicans will never win another election.
You heard it from him. You don't got to hear it from me. It's not me paraphrasing what the president said. You just heard what he said. Again, all the critics out there, oh man, he backpedaled a little bit. He has a priority here. He just said it. He wants to get the hardcore illegal immigrants who are rapists, murderers, people guilty of felony assault, domestic violence out. He doesn't want them in the country. Now, if he's got to take a bit of a step back on a more promiscuous operation out there, more broad-based operation out there to target these folks and get at least that, he's going to do that and come back later for the other 20%. It's clear as day. He's done this 1,000 times. What part are you missing? But the media people have this framing. We're going to talk about this a lot over the next year of the show during this election. I want you to start paying very close attention to the gaslighting process. Lie about this is what the media does. Lie about a story, lie often, lie confidently, and isolate people from the truth. That's how you frame a story your way. President Trump is targeting grandmothers who've been in the country 30 years and have committed no additional crimes. That is not at all what's happening. I lived through it. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening and why some people who are here illegally, that is their crime, but haven't maybe committed any other crimes, get swept up in these ops too. It's not hard to understand if you're not isolating people from the truth. But I'm going to take a quick break. I got a brief media moron moment to show you who these people are and how they frame this stuff and why they do what they do. And then I'll get back to this story about how it works and why the president's being, vilified again by liberal media goons who have no idea what they're freaking talking about. None. Brickhouse Nutrition. Hey, the guys at Brickhouse are always working on incredible products for your health. I am a big supporter. They were my original sponsor. I'm a health nut. I love it because the number one golden rule of the show, Jim, don't get dead. Do not get dead. That's why I take Brickhouse products. Everything from their creatine to Field of Greens, their proteins, their supplements, top notch. They have a product called Creatone. They were kind enough to send some to Paula. She's been using it and loving it. Here's the reality. Weight alone doesn't tell you how in shape you actually are. Everybody knows that. The scale can lie. You got to use the mirror test. Two women stand side by side, same height, same weight. The women who take Creatone looks toned and fit. The other one probably doesn't. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition designed Creatone for women. It targets female body composition, helps support fat loss while helping to build lean muscle. Paula absolutely swears by it. She's got her back is ripped. Looks like a fitness competitor. She was like doing the double biceps the other day. I can't even move my shoulders to show you. And I was like, nice. Best of all, Creatone helps support body reshaping without changing your diet or exercise routine. The product's incredible. Can't recommend it enough. Same weight, completely different looking body. Try it out. Do the mirror test yourself. You'll thank me later. Go to brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan to get 20% off. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Promo code Dan. Results will vary. Great product. The statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA, not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and is not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. And next sponsor today is Chapter Advisory. Listen, I've seen how government programs work. A lot of it is sloppy, folks. There's so much waste. It's a lot more broken than you'll ever know. We got to fix it. I think one of the most broken systems, obviously, is Medicare. Structure is just a mess. Most people think they're getting accurate information. Some Medicare agents might push Medicare Advantage plans because that's where the commissions are, not because they're actually best for you. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Chapter doesn't work for big insurance, and they don't take marching orders from Washington. They're independent. They can help walk you through every option: Original Medicare, Supplement, Advantage, Part D, and they'll tell you exactly what you gain, what you give up, and what it really costs. One woman, Jill, said her Chapter advisor showed her options she didn't even see on Medicare's own website. Doesn't that sound like a broken system? If you want more clarity, here's what to do. Dial pound 250 on your phone and say Medicare help. The average senior who connects with Chapter saves about $1,100 a year just by getting honest advice. So if you're on Medicare or getting close, don't guess. Here's what to do again. Dial pound 250 and say Medicare help. That's pound 250 and say Medicare help. Thanks, Chapter. We really appreciate you being part of the show. Okay, back to the show. So again, how does this framing and gaslighting continue to persist? It persists because these media people isolate people from the truth. And they speak to a bunch of lemmings and bots on the left that fall for the current thing every time. I think the original current thing for the Trump administration, tell me if I'm wrong, guys, was that was the original current thing was the Russia hoax, right? Was there a current thing before that? I think that was the original one. There were so many current things about Donald Trump. Like he wakes up in the morning and drinks Diet Coke. And remember that one story? He gives people one scoop of ice cream and he gets two. You're like, come on, that's stupid. No, that was an actual story. Dude, don't laugh, guys. That was an actual story. Like we covered it on the show when Paula was the producer at the time. When he was said that, oh yeah, that's right. No, Guy, I'm sorry, Guy, good call. And Guy's not like the most political cat either in the world. Guy's like, no, the original bad thing was he announced. And when he said, they're not sending the finest people over, they're sending rapists and stuff, which by the way, the point he was making was accurate. Like these countries that are flushing illegal immigrants into the United States are not sending PhDs in nuclear science. Like you're right, Guy. And like, oh my gosh, Trump calls every foreigner a rapist. You are correct. That was the original current thing. But the Russia hoax was probably the biggest current thing liberals fell for. And we're never going to do that. So I saw this yesterday. Philip Bump. Philip Bump is one of the legendary media morons. He looks as dumb as he sounds half the time. And Philip Bump, again, like Nicole Wallace, has a quiet obsession with me, loves writing about me. Phil, I know you're watching today. It's good to see you. I'd give you the double barrel, but I don't want to waste the calories on you at this point, even the half a calorie it takes to lift my middle finger. But in our media moron moment, Philip Bump, who can't stop writing about me, this is how they frame bullshit stuff. They broke our institutions, the media folks. They've broken them. So nobody trusts anyone anymore. And I understand. People don't trust government. People don't trust Medicare. People don't trust Social Security. People don't trust the FBI. People don't trust the CIA. People don't trust public schools. They don't trust institutions. They certainly don't trust the media. And that happened because the media broke institutions. The media broke institutions by being the firewall against corruption of all those other institutions. And what did the media do? Sat on their fat asses doing absolutely nothing while institutions like the prior DOJ and FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, investigated Donald Trump for a fake PP hoax, prosecuted him in a trial in New York, a civil trial with no victims at all, and the media sat on their asses. When they were supposed to be the Praetorian Guard for truth. That's why nobody trusts anything anymore. They broke the institutions. So Bump writes this piece yesterday, this guy. Dan Bongino is happy to be back where he can serve Trump best. Podcasting. Okay? Here's what he writes. This is a trip. Philip Bump. 1L, by the way, Philip. Talking about me. For years, he amplified Trump's rhetoric and allegations about the world. He pounced. He seized on the idea that the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election was somehow, get a load of this, guys, somehow based on a hoax, and that Trump, the embodiment of presidential perfection, was right everywhere the left was wrong. Holy Moses, Phil. Again, do your parents tell people they have no kids? Holy shit, are you really this stupid that the election was somehow based on a hoax, the Russian interference? It was a hoax, you moron. Phil, I'm just curious. How many presidential daily briefs and classified information briefings have you gotten on everything they did to institute said hoax? How many? The answer for what are you, Jim? What are you doing? Making it? Oh, it's a 0. Jim's making it. He's doing this. Phil's got. This is the guy I'm talking about. This is exactly the media person who frames to you that Trump is going after grandmas who've done nothing wrong, going to be kicked out of the country. Trump's a Russian stooge. He's in a PP tape somewhere no one's ever seen. Phil has had no classified briefings, has seen none of the information at all, and it goes after me, suggesting that, the Russia thing, there's something there. There's no there, asshole. There's no there. I know you're a moron. We've seen how you act when you get called out on your bullshit. Wait, have we? Jim says we have seen that. Key, can you remember this? When Philip Bump, again, whose parents tell people they probably have no kids, they've changed their last name to avoid any association with this moron. Here's Philip Bump on a podcast with, I believe this guy's like a comedian. And he's asking Philip Bump about the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop we all know is real. And who Philip Bump insisted, like, hey, there's not a lot of evidence of this Hunter Biden stuff. Guys like, what about the laptop? Here's how Philip Bump reacts when he gets called on bullshit. And he wonders why nobody trusts institutions like the media anymor. Check this out.
Okay, well, okay, fine.
So
it's evidence. I appreciate you having me on.
It doesn't, that something like that. Who do you think is more? I listen to that and I'm saying,
Am I? What,
you can free to go.
I feel you want me to leave, like just walk out in the middle of this because that way you can
you can go.
Right.
Is this a standard? Really, this is the way the Washington Post handles people who disagree with them.
When I agree to be on for 45 minutes,
go,
and then
go.
I get on for an hour and 15. Yeah, that after a while I go.
Go.
Thanks for having me.
Hat tip Noam Dwarman on that for calling Philip Bump out. I don't know this guy, but I'm pretty sure he's not like a conservative. He's just asking him, like, hey, man, the laptop is evidence, right? Like, we know it's his and all. Like, that's actual evidence. And Philip Bump, this dipshit, who somehow still has a job, it still believes somehow that the Russia thing was based on actual evidence. He's got no information that's true at all. This is how they frame a story and how these lefty lemmings fall off a cliff. They frame it because they isolate you from the truth. Folks, don't ever forget the 4 steps involved in gaslighting. Lie. Trump colluded with Russia. Lie often. Trump really colluded with Russia. Lie confidently. Man, Trump colluded with Russia. And then isolate people from the truth. Don't let them see the evidence that the whole thing is bullshit. This moron is still insisting there's something there. And he's upset because we exposed it. What a tool. I remember after the Comey indictment, after we produced our investigation to a grand jury and secured the indictment before the whole judge thing got involved, these people were going nuts. It wasn't us who indicted him. It was a grand jury of his peers. We don't indict. It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Indictments. Did he miss that? What is he, accusing the grand jury too of being in on it? Wait, you got another one? Oh, this is a surprise. Thank you. This is totally out of mainstream media coverage is not why Biden isn't popular. Person with the highest rating amongst those prevented. Most who sat in the political. Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot this. Imagine how much this was in 2024. They did some poll about where people get their news and who had the most credibility on the right. They note it was Dan Bongino, quote, far right commentator. Philip Bump. Can you imagine how much Xanax he had to take after writing this piece? Give me a Xanax. What does it come in? Microgram? Give me 72 micrograms. Mainline it in my veins. Moron. All right, but listen, serious time, getting back to it. Framing works. Framing works for these people because they isolate an audience from the truth that doesn't go out and seek alternative sources of information. Folks, I'm going to give you both sides. I said when we opened the show on Monday, I'm going to tell you what happened, what didn't happen, why things happened, and why they didn't happen. Some things haven't happened yet, and it's not because of some lack of effort. It's because the judicial process works slow. You have to wait on grand juries. Juries are people's peers. Grand juries aren't seated all the time. You have to gather evidence. You have to produce verifiable information. Or else what happens? Cases get thrown out. Cases get chucked out of court. People sue to get their jobs back. Things have to be done the right way. Philip Bump will never do that. I am not going to bullshit you. I've been clear about everything. The only things, by the way, I want to get this in there too. Some of the stuff I haven't discussed yet are because some of the things I was involved in are ongoing trials. So it's not fair for me to discuss them. That's why it's not I'm an open book, guys, an open book on everything. You may not like the answer, but it's the answer. Philip Bump's never going to give you an answer. And that's how we get into this situation we're in right now in Minnesota, where people are attacking ICE officers and CBP folks for just doing their job, getting people out of the country who don't belong in the country. They did not engage in a legal process to get into the country via a port of entry. They are here illegally. This is not controversial. It's only controversial because liberal nutbags have turned extremely violent because their liberal media morons like Bump and others isolate them from the truth. Here's what I mean. I want to give you a bit of an insider perspective on one, I'm for the deportation. I just want to be clear of anybody who comes here illegally. Got it? Full stop, period. I just don't want anybody to be misled where I stand and where I stood in my prior line of work. However, the FBI didn't have the capability by itself to do that. DHS and ICE CBP have far more personnel and combined throughout DHS than we did. So we contributed, but the whole effort was not ours. We were actually a small piece of it relative to the larger operation. But it's just not possible at one time to deport, say, 10 or 15 million people here illegally. The logistics of it are just not possible. It can be done over time, but it's not going to be done overnight. So what would happen is you would see these stories in the media. Trump administration, deports grandma, whatever it is. And you'd be like, my gosh, that's really horrible. Why are they targeting a grandma who's been here maybe 30 years, but still here illegally, right? They were not targeting that person, but that person is here illegally. So what would happen is with ERO, emergency removal operation, we would get rid of people that the FBI contributed to with ICE, CBP, and elsewhere. We would target the worst of the worst. Those were the president's instructions. Because if you have, say, throw out a number, 20 million people in the country illegally, and 1 million of them are hardcore criminals, I think it's fairly obvious. I assume you'd all nod your head in agreement. You want the 1 million really bad ones out first. You'll you'll come back for the other 99 later. But you want you want the 19 later. You want the 1 million out first. But what happens is a lot of these really bad actors hang out with other people who are illegal, who are other bad actors. So you're not going to let them go. It wasn't targeting. That's just media bullshit. I would see it all the time. It really pissed me off. Illegal migrants and immigrants tend to congregate with other illegals. So they have to go too. You're not going to do selective justice. Oh, well, you're the good one and you're the bad. That's not the way it works. You got to go. But the media's not going to tell you that. They'll go do a raid and they'll get out 4 or 5 rapists or murderers, and 2 others will be there who, maybe had a couple of traffic violations or whatever, but we're still in the country illegally. And the whole story becomes about those 2 because they've isolated people from the truth. That is not what's happening. And that's why you get a mixed reaction to what ICE is doing. There should be no mixed reaction. People should unanimously say, hey, we're a welcoming country, but you got to come in the country the right way. And I don't want to hear any bullshit from anyone. My wife's a legal immigrant. So is my mother-in-law. Oh, you had a bias against immigrants. You're just full of shit. I married one. There's a process. There's a process to board a plane. There's a process to buy allergy medication. Why? Because bad things can happen if you let people on a plane who are not vetted. Bad things can happen if people buy 2 tons of allergy drugs and start creating meth. Love it or hate it, there's a reason we have a process. We don't want people in the country who are terrorists, criminals, and murderers. You don't get to say, double barrel to the process, I'm coming in my own way. This should be unanimous. I just want to play this clip from this San Francisco news station. Some guy put a billboard up around the Super Bowl, Defensive Player of the Year, ICE. It was like a pro-ICE billboard. And just watch the response. You'll see there's like the mixed reaction. Some people are like, oh man, I don't know, I hate this. There should be no mixed reaction. This is all media framing at work. And it's causing a really hostile atmosphere against ICE and CBP folks, Holman, Kristi Noem, and others who are just doing the freaking jobs. Check this out.
A new digital billboard at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco is evoking mixed reactions.
It made me sick to my stomach.
It's an ad that shows support for ICE.
They have a job to do, too. That's it. I don't have a problem with them.
The billboard reads, Defensive Player of the Year, ICE. A group that calls itself American Sovereignty is behind the billboard. We tried to reach out to them to learn more about their motivation, but have not been able to reach anyone.
I'm worried for my neighbors. I'm worried for what is happening, and I'm worried to see it escalating here.
With the Super Bowl just days away, these concerned community members say they're doing something every day to get their message out.
Listen, to the Karen in that video, I'm very concerned about my neighbors. I hate talkers. Do something. Be a doer. DOER. Do something. Remove your ass from the seat. Seat, ass, separation. Create a little bit. Separation. Get the atoms apart. Create separation from your ass and the seat. Get your ass up. Move ass around and go do something. Go take in a bunch of these folks. Oh, here. Remember this? Will you save this? Holy shit. Remember this? Remember this? This was about the loan repayment when we were paying off people's student loans. Let me get that camera. Here. This is it. This is from the old studio. I'll read it for you for those of you listening on audio. Liberal guide to loan repayment. Don't be a bum. Take your rump on the graphic. That's mine. I drew that. That's great. Look, it even says rump. Oh, sorry, other way. Rump. Remove it from the seat. Get a freaking job and go make money. And then we have a thing. Ass seat with lines through it. There's a way to stop this stuff. You can go get a freaking job. Go do something. Go sponsor a bunch of folks from overseas. You want to come in here and help them get in through the regular process if you think everybody's a superhero that comes in here. Go do it. Remove ass from seat. Ass seat. Disconnect. Ass seat connection. No ass seat connection. Do so. You're not going to do shit. I got into a big fight with Geraldo on a Hannity interview one time about this, talking about illegal immigrants and all. I said, how many of you taken it? 0. Okay, so you don't do shit. You just talk about it. I absolutely hate that. I can't stand it. That's what I hate about the doomers and the libs and everyone else. They've never done anything. A lot of these people never even had freaking jobs. And all they do, this guy sucks, that guy sucks. Maybe it's you suck. You ever think of that? To the Karen in that video. Maybe it's you. I want to take care of my neighbors. Take them in. Open up your house, Karen. Her name's not Karen. It is to me. I know a lot of kids. Listen, my name is Dan. I'm with you. It's like nobody likes the name Dan either. I get it. Sorry. We got to live with it. Just do something, man. Then you got people attacking ICE. Who told you this was a good idea? I'm going to let all this investigative stuff play out. I'm a big Second Amendment advocate. I'm certainly not criticizing anyone for legally carrying a firearm or anything like that. So I haven't dug into that case yet. I'm not avoiding any of it. I discussed it on Hannity and elsewhere, the Minnesota case with the AFO, the assault on a federal officer and the shooting. I want to see all the evidence. I want to see the evidence. What is the motto of the Dan Bongino show from day one? I don't want to be first. I want to be right, period. I'm going to wait to see what body cams say and everything else before I form a final opinion on it. End of story. However, can we all agree, divorce yourself from that case for a minute, that if there is a legal law enforcement operation going on, whether it's immigration, a drug bust, or anything else, can we all agree, regardless of your politics, yes or no in the chat, can we all agree it is probably not a good idea for you to interfere in a lawful arrest? It's not a good idea for any reason. It's bad for your safety. It's bad for the officer's safety. If you have an objection to what's going on, many of these departments have civilian complaint review boards. The federal government has DOJ inspections. You can file a report. It is a really bad idea. It's not just a bad idea for the federal agents and the cops. It's a bad idea for you. I don't want you to get dead. I'm not kidding. I'm not screwing around. It's not me trying to be funny. I believe in your civil liberties too. Even if you're a leftist, you have every right to watch the arrest and say, this sucks. You're an asshole. I don't like what you're doing. You can't get arrested for that. That's your legally protected opinion. You can't go in there and put hands on these guys. It's just stupid. And why is this happening? Because the liberal rage machine is isolated from the truth. They've got everybody believing that these guys are the Gestapo, the fascists, the brown shirts, Hitler's Nazi team is back. And who's doing it? These lefties and people like Philip Bump and others in the media and the left-wing media. Why are they not speaking out against stuff like this? Where is this rage coming from? Causing people to get hurt because they're going in and interfering in ICE raids that are lawful? Listen to this. Now, I want to be clear before I play Jerry Nadler, the guy who I'm pretty sure crapped his pants on stage one time. You guys remember that? Remember that video? Nadler, I don't know. I mean, listen, it happens, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, luckily it never happened to me or anyone else I know, but you ever seen a video of Nadler on stage doing the penguin? Like the waddle? It's awkward. And it's like in the middle of a presser. And he's like, I got to go. So here's Jerry Nadler. And I think he's retiring, by the way. Congressman from New York. Here's Nadler yesterday. And I want to be clear on this because I don't want to be like these lefty assholes. I'm not suggesting he said in this clip here that shooting ICE agents and officers in CBP are okay. That's clearly not what he's saying. What I'm getting at is he used really, really awful verbiage that could be taken that way by lunatics. And the left-wing media is almost silent on it. If anyone on the right were to say this, by the way, the calls for public executions would be happening immediately. Check this out.
The tax cuts on millionaires and billionaires enacted over the last 10 years. But what is really the major problem in this country today is the fascism in our streets. The attacks on American citizens by masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person.
I'm not going to play the game, man. I'm not, because I'm not a leftist asshole and I'm not a liberal media goon. If that was any forget Republican, any non-Democrat, even an independent, or even some like Fetterman type who's a Democrat but sometimes goes along with Republican issues, the left-wing media would be going freaking wild. Congressman so-and-so calls for execution of said agents. I can't believe it. He should be fired immediately. Impeach him. Get him out of office. Censor everything. But Nadler unquestionably used careless bullshit language that's going to stir up more rage, and you see nothing. This is framing. Isolate people from the truth. It's only the right that has to answer for their language. Oh, dude, you guys, these guys, I've been here 3 days. They're already taking it. Okay, can you turn the AC down a little hot in here? Look at them. Come on. You see the waddle? What is going on there? I don't know if he needed one of those wipies or what, getting off the stage. That's good. I'm glad you guys, like I said, I've only been here 3 days. These guys are already taking the show into their own hand. All right, back to the serious stuff. Now they're going close up. All right, enjoy it. Have fun. All right, I'll just sit here and wait you guys out. Finish my blackout. No more left. I put a little protein pad. All right, we don't need the extreme close up. The audio people on Apple are like, what the hell's going on? And Spotify are like, all right, you don't understand. Like, they played the video. Like, Guy enjoys that video with Justin. Justin's in there laughing his ass off. It's good. We got it, the while. This framing and isolating people from the truth, where you allow people like Nadler to talk like this, where some lunatic could take that as a license to go shoot an ICE person. And like I said, I don't believe that's what he meant, but it's still careless. This one's even worse. This is Delia Ramirez. I want you to listen to the way she tries to dehumanize Steve Miller, Kristi Noem, and Tom Homan of the Trump administration, key figures in this deportation, border security effort, right? I want you, these people are totally mocking, laughing, and dehumanizing these people, and I don't think they care if anything happens to them at all. This is really horrible. Check this out.
We must have accountability, and we must bring justice to every fascist in the administration, and that includes Kristi Noem, that includes Stephen Miller, and that includes Tom Homan. ICE will be abolished, VHS will be dismantled, and together we will get it done.
So they're back. They're back to defunding the police again. This is, you have never seen a group of people kick themselves in the nuts like these two. It's the knee joint doesn't even work like that. Liberal knee joints work in like a three-hand. They kick themselves in the balls. It's like a shoulder joint rather than a hinge. I've never seen people kick themselves in the balls without a cup on like liberals do. How well did this defund the police thing work for you? Donald Trump he had that county's number, like thousands of counties more than the left. He won a massive electoral college landslide, won the popular vote. You know, we run the Senate, we run the House. How many times are you going to kick your own self in the balls before you realize that men's penises in the women's locker room and defunding the police is a loser? And they're right back to it again because they fall for the current thing. Don't be a current thinger. I'm telling you, there's a short-term sugar high out of it. I'm sure this Delia Ramirez was sitting there trying to dehumanize Noam and Miller. And if something bad happens to them, that could be part of it. This could inspire some lunatic to go out and do something. Doesn't care. You know why? People in the crowd are like, yeah, well, that's great. Go for it, Delia. You're our hero. Give him a little heart pound, whatever. Long term, what happens? The Republicans took back the Senate, the House, and Donald Trump kicked your ass again. They're right back to the defund the police nonsense. You want to defund ICE, DHS, CBP? Is that what you want? You want illegals just randomly crossing the border again? Do you understand how freaking crazy that is? And this is the kind of stuff that goes on CNN. You got that clip of that old NFL guy, Guy, I sent before? Folks, this is how they isolate people from the truth. I promise, like I've done a lot of work with Fox News over the years and in other outlets as both my show. And you better back up what you're going to say on there. If you're going to call someone a freaking Nazi or a fascist, no one's going to like tell you what to say or not to say, but you better damn well back it up with some evidence. Have you written about Nazi writings? Have you engaged in anything? Donald Trump's, I love how like Donald Trump's a fascist in Minnesota. You got one side saying, man, he backed off a little bit. He's letting kind of the steam cool off and he's going to go back in later. And then you got the other side, oh, the guy's a fascist. Which one is it, dipshits? Is he either cutting a deal and being reasonable to get his end goal and come back for the other 20% later when he got his 80, or is he a fascist who took 100%? Sorry, I get a little worked up about this because the messaging is just so stupid. You see, you'll see the same media assholes do that taco thing. Trump always chickens out. And then in the next sentence, like, but he's definitely a fascist who never chickens out and does the right and does the far right thing all the time. Which one is it? This is the reason you see crazy stuff like this in rage. Here's a former NFL guy. I don't know, he's a punter or whatever. Here he is on CNN again with the Nazi comparisons. I mean, do you realize you guys have tried this since he came down the escalator? Before he became 45, you've tried defund the police. You've tried that Trump is trying to be a king. Trump is a fascist. Trump is a Nazi. Are you ever going to let this go? Check this out.
I believe we're on the path that Nazi Germany went down under Hitler. And I say that as a political science and history major, as someone who has studied history. And the parallels are very, very clear. This administration is trying to erase trans people. This administration is trying to put obedience over duty to the country. This administration is trying to thrust our country into turmoil in order to reap power for themselves.
Okay, moron. One, I've never heard of you. I don't really follow the NFL that much, so it doesn't really matter. What a total dipshit. He's plunged the world, did he say, into turmoil? There have been like peace deals breaking out. Oh my gosh, he came into office trying to clean up the Ukraine-Russia mess that happened under your guy, dementia-ridden Joe Biden. What are you talking about? I see remnants of Nazi Germany, producer Jim. I took a history lesson in school. Oh, great. What exactly remnants do you, what rights? Did you hear the other part of the clip too? He's trying to erase trans people. What do you mean? Like there's exterminations going on? What the are you talking about? Tell me one constitutional right trans people don't have in the country. Go. Okay, thank you. 0. And then you wonder why lefties go crazy and start attacking our ICE, CBP, federal agents, and cops. because they believe this stuff, these lefties. Because like this guy, Chris, whatever his name is on CNN, former NFL guy, I took a history class once in college. You're a moron. No one ever challenges them. You think the host would be like, well, what rights have been erased? I'm not judging you or anything, Chris. Barely, even if you're a lefty on CNN, just tell me, like, he would be like, hold on, I got to go kick a football. Dumbass. So tired of these people. I'm so glad I'm back, like, to be able to bring everyone back from the abyss of crazy. Listen, I'm not the only host out there. A lot of great shows, and I really appreciate all my colleagues in the business. You know, Ben, Clay and Buck, Sean, Mark, Glenn, all of them. But I'm really happy to be back, and it's an honor to be here with you. Another 109,000 today. You know, every day, Jim, the doomers are like, no one's going to be there. And every day, 6-figure people show up. We're like a top 5 podcast in the world. Number 1, day 1. I don't even know where we were yesterday. They keep coming back. They keep coming back. Because I respect you guys. I'm always going to tell you the truth. All right, quick break. And I want to talk about this Don Lemon story. But not just from the superficial, like Don Lemon sucks thing, which is obvious. It's not like, you know, breaking news. I got a long history with Don Lemon, by the way. It was my last CNN hit ever. Was me fighting with Don Lemon over the Second Amendment. I didn't even have facial hair. I think I had long hair back then too. But I want to cover it from, again, the framing side. There's a key component of this Don Lemon story that the left-wing media is not telling you. They're framing it as an attack on free speech. But they're leaving something very important out, that there is another Bill of Rights enshrined civil liberty in there that was attacked as well. They leave that part out completely. You'll see what I mean coming up in a second. Folks, I use my car a ton between work and at the studio, visiting family, weekend trips. You know the deal. I'm on the road a lot. And when you rely on your car that much, every strange noise or dashboard light instantly becomes stressful. I just had my car in the shop. Had like 4 recalls on it. One unexpected repair can derail your whole week and your budget. That's why I'm a big believer in CarShield. CarShield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car options at no extra cost. They work with ASE certified mechanics nationwide, so you're never scrambling to find someone trustworthy. Their plans are low cost, month to month, and they come with low deductibles, which means no massive hits to your wallet when something goes wrong. With 20 plus years of experience, over 2 million vehicles protected, and a 96% customer review rating, and an A+ BBB rating, CarShield has earned its reputation. Make a decision your wallet will love with CarShield. Right now, CarShield is offering our listeners 20% off with the code Bongino, Bongino, at carshield.com. Visit carshield.com and lock in your 2026 protection today and never pay for expensive car repairs again. Go to carshield.com, use promo code Bongino for 20% off. Thank you, CarShield. We appreciate it. And our last sponsor today, Cozy Earth. They're back. Get cozy with Cozy Earth. February is a great time to show a little extra love, whether it's for someone special or just for you. And for me, Cozy Earth has made that easier than ever. Paula doesn't know yet. Well, she knows now, but the bamboo pajama set on the list of Valentine's gifts she's getting, she'll be getting them. The thing I love about Cozy Earth is the quality, the comfort, and the quality. You can actually feel super comfortable stuff, especially when you get home after a long day of work. Got to get out of that suit, get out of them shoes, get into some Cozy Earth pajamas. I'm picky about fabrics, and these guys never, ever disappoint. Here's the best part about buying from Cozy Earth. There's zero risk. You get a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. You can't beat that. Share a little extra love this February. Wrap yourself or someone you love or care about in comfort. That makes them truly feel special. Head to CozyEarth.com. Use my code Bongino for up to 20% off. That's code Bongino for up to 20% off. And if you take the post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Dan Bongino Show. Celebrate everyday love with comfort that makes the little moments count. Support our sponsors. They support us. CozyEarth.com and use code Bongino. Pick up some comfortable pajamas and other items there today. They are cozy. CozyEarth.com, code Bongino. Haley just walked in. Double Y, double the fun in her name, as she says. I didn't know that was like a tagline of hers yesterday. I just learned that. Very good. Haley's show, of course, is on at noon. Rumble.com/Haley, 2 Ys, Hayley. And look, they even got a Chiron for it. I can see on the screen. Vince Colonnese, the best of the best, of course, is on at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Rumble.com/Vince. Always appreciate the work they do as well. Okay. We're talking about framing and gaslighting because, folks, our institutions are broken. Listen to me. Your buddy Dan totally understands and embraces and respects and values everything you guys say. The lovers, the haters, outside of like the morons, but who really get crazy. But really, I'm open to all of it. I was a public servant. Criticisms matter too. I digest it and take it all in. Some warranted, some you just don't know, but that's okay. I mean, I say you just don't know because some things we can't really talk about. However, I get that. One of the things, though, we do on this is I take it in and digest it. And I try to give you a full picture of what's going on. And I'm never going to bullshit you, I promise. I am extremely proud of the work we've done over the last 10 years, whether it's running for office, whether it's the show, the TV show, the books, the FBI stint over the past year, and our work here. But I'm never going to fail to give you both sides of the story. So Don Lemon, yes, Don Lemon is technically a journalist, okay? Is he tell the truth a lot? My humble opinion, I think he's kind of a BSer when it comes to how he frames stories. But we can't just say, you're a journalist if you're on our side. But there's a problem with this case. They have framed this as this is attack on journalism, arresting Don Lemon for going into a church with these groups of people who harassed a bunch of congregants in the church. This is an attack. The media people don't want to tell you anything about the other side. And that's how you get moments like this. Don Lemon was at, some dinner he was at? He's at a dinner. And again, there's no one even remotely critical at all. They introduced Don Lemon, and check this out. A bunch of Hollywood types like, Don Lemon's here. Can we get your autograph? Can we get a selfie? Can you sign the back of my phone? Check this out. Here we go. Look at this. Don, we love you, buddy. Look at you. Oh, Don. Takes his little, he puts his hands up. Everybody. Not a single person in this place. Standing O. Look at it. Do you see anyone not clapping? They love this guy. Real superhero. Not a single person is skeptical. I'm always careful about protecting the rights of the media because I'm an actual civil libertarian who believes in the Constitution. However, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a blanket authorization for people in the media to go and commit crimes. Producer Jim, last time I checked, is there an exception in the Bill of Rights that says if you're in the media, you can violate the civil liberties of others? There is not. I have not seen it. Either has producer Jim. By the way, someone said yesterday, sent us an email and said, hey, you talk to your team too much. Folks, I'm sorry, it's part of the show. Again, this show's not for everyone. I understand that. But for the 104,000 people who are here, it's an honor to have you, and I love my team, and they're part of the show. And by the way, 99% of people love the interaction with this great team, so I love producer Jim. There is no exception here. William McGurn, who is a writer at the Wall Street Journal, I thought summed this up perfectly in this piece. Here's the part they isolate you from. Don Lemon, who could cite journalistic First Amendment protections, is ignoring the fact that people have the right to express their freedom of religion as well without people like Don Lemon, running into their church causing chaos. Put up that McGurn piece. This is really well said. And by the way, again, I cite the Wall Street Journal a lot because a lot of these writers are not huge fans of President Trump. But for all the left-wing media, keep that up a second. Nonsense like, Dan Bongino is parading talking points around. No, I'm using outlets here that I think are fair to both sides at times. McGurn says he's correct up to a point. Mr. Lemon's constitutional right to report at City's church isn't in question. It's not. He can report at a church as a media person. But another part of the First Amendment is implicated here too. The right of Americans to the free exercise of their faith is mentioned in the same amendment that protects Mr. Lemon's speech. That's a right the protesters violated when they disrupted the service. And now, you know what happens in a constitutional republic? Given that everyone's innocent until proven guilty, Don Lemon too, Also, everyone in the church, but it's on video. They're entitled to process like anyone else, folks. Now we'll go to a court and let a jury of people's peers or a judge figure it out. That's how the system works. You see any of that from the clapping seals in the audience? They don't give a shit about any of that. You got to get past the framing. Don't ever fall for this current thing stuff. Because you're seeing it as well with another thing in the news that I haven't got to talk about over the last 2 days. It's been a busy couple of days back. The SAVE Act. Folks, the SAVE Act is probably, chime up in the chat though. Tell me how you feel about this, if you agree with this assertion. The SAVE Act is probably the single most important piece of legislation moving through Congress and the Senate right now. The SAVE Act, which would institute some election security measures around the country, will not stop election fraud. Nothing's ever going to stop fraud, but it will significantly minimize instances of election stealing and election fraud that may or may not be going on in certain areas around the country. It is a critical piece of legislation. I got a couple emails yesterday. You know, I listened to you guys. I get it in the show email on the website. Why haven't you mentioned the SAVE Act? No reason, just there was a lot going on. We're going to get to it now. We're going to get to it now. The Democrats, in their framing, if I see the chat blowing up, I can see it out of the corner of my eyes. Yes. You guys are awesome. Thank you. We love the chat. Only we can blow up the chat, by the way. Chris at Rumble, like, you guys are amazing. Your audience just loves the chat. You see it already slowing down. The framing issue is added. They're at it again, the liberal media. Every time election security measures come up, every single time, the Democrats go to the exact same playbook. What? It's racist. Hat tip Tom Maher used to be a host up in Baltimore when I was there. He's since passed. But he used to say that all the time. Racist. Every single time. They never deviate from the playbook. And then when you ask them simple questions, like, hey, presenting voter ID, how is that racist? Are you suggesting people who are black or Hispanic or Asian can't figure out how to get an ID? No, they can't. Why not? Explain that to me exactly, why they can't figure that out. But white people can. Sounds like the racist is you. Explain that to me. Liberals watching my show, I know you're there. Media people, Phil Bump and others. Explain that to me. Nicole, what do you think of this shirt? You know, it's for you today? A little blue? Anyone got some romantic music they can play for Nicole? You guys got to dig. But no copyrighted stuff. I don't want to get sued. Jim, you need anything? You know, you're a little maybe I get like the Playboy smoking jacket or something. Put it on. See, this is how I did. This is how I get crazy. Explain to me, please, Nicole, Philip, Frank Fugazi, all you others out there, how white people can figure out how to get an ID, but black and Hispanic people can't. Explain, go. They can't do it. Who's the real racist? This SAVE Act is a ground ball. All it says is, hey, man, you know, you want to go out and buy a beer, you produce ID. You want to gamble in a casino? I like to play blackjack once in a while. I'm not particularly good at it. I get smoked more often than not. However, sometimes you got to present an ID if they don't think you're of age. Why is it even remotely controversial to present ID? The answer is it isn't. So they go with this BS. Now, this is an issue, however, that despite the Democrats' best efforts to paint the SAVE Act, this act which would institute election security measures around the country, ground ball, despite their best efforts, this is possibly, outside of defunding the police and all the other Trump's a fascist bullshit they keep pushing, this election security stuff is racist is probably the dumbest thing they're pushing because it's just not working. I go back to this guy because he's a CNN pollster. He's not one of ours. Here he is talking about voter ID and the polling numbers. The Democrats keep face planting on this, but they won't stop because they like to try to steal elections. That's why. Check this out.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
Those are the numbers, man. We're not bullshitting you. It's a CNN clip. It's not Fox or Newsmax or Breitbart or Daily Caller, the Bongino show. Bongino.com poll. It's none of that. It's a CNN guy. These people lie to you all the time. It is not racist. It's racist to suggest white people can figure out how to get a driver's license and black people can't. That's what's racist. Now, I bring it up because President Trump was on my show the other day, and he was referring to the SAVE Act when he talked about instituting national standards for the election. And of course, the hysteria started immediately. We have the show name on Google Alert, so, we can see how the public's responding to the show. It's how we market. We figure out where we're winning, where we got to do better on messaging. We've always done it. So I see it. There must have been, 1,000+ articles on President Trump saying this with all. President Trump wants to nationalize elections, fascist monarch. Here was an MSDNC piece, or I don't know what it is, MSNOW, MS, whatever the hell. I'm just going to call it MSNOW. I know MS, I get it, but I'm not calling it that because they want me to, and I'll call it what I want. Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. Trump eyes radical power grab. He was clearly referring to the SAVE Act. And ladies and gentlemen, he's not talking about local elections for your city council or dog catcher. States and municipalities conduct those elections as they see fit, as long as it doesn't violate constitutional rights. Principles of federalism, there's state and there's appellate powers, federal powers, we all get that. But national elections for the House of Representatives, for the United States Senate, and for the presidency should have national standards. This is, again, is completely not controversial. There is nothing controversial about this except the left isolating you from the truth and framing it as here's that fascist again, Donald Trump. The fascist what? Who wants people who won elections to actually win and not have the elections cheated from? By the way, that applies to Democrats too. I don't want Democrats who won elections to get cheated. No one's going to have faith in the system. I want fair standards. Why do you not want that? That was in, I think, Rachel Maddow's blog or something, MSNOW. That's going to be a thing. That's going to be a thing. Watch, Philip Bump will write an article. He doesn't know it's MS now. That'll be tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow's piece. All right. We got two critical things. We talked about immigration and the framing of it. We talked about the SAVE Act, the Don Lemon case in terms of broad spectrum constitutional rights. Yes, you have a constitutional right to practice your religion. You have a constitutional right to be a member of the media. You don't have the right to engage in media activities and go out and hit someone with a baseball bat and go, hey, it was journalistic. You also don't have the right to say, hey, I'm practicing my religion. My religion, the first tenet of my religion is murder the first person you see. That's not the way this works. There is a balancing test for liberties that are infringed upon. There is a balancing test. The least restrictive means and a compelling government interest. The government restricts rights all the time, but it has to do it by the least restrictive means, and there has to be a compelling government interest. If your religion says murder the first person you see on a Monday morning, is there a compelling government interest to get you to not murder someone? Obviously. How do you do it but from the least restrictive means? Well, you already have legal means to stop it. They won't even tell you that. Okay, as I said in the beginning of the show, moving on. I feel a public duty, given my past year of work and away from the microphone, to keep you guys aware of current threats. The threat environment right now, and I don't want to, I'm not here to panic anyone or make anyone freak out. Enjoy your life, enjoy your kids. Things that are going to happen, we're doing our best to stop them. But there's no reason to live your life in fear. Be prepared, stay prepared, be smart. You've heard all this. You don't need you don't need lectures from me. But we are living in a really dangerous world, folks. I'm going to tell you something. I came out, if I can just be, really kind of like open book with you right now. The past year was, I know, sorry, Guy, I'm just doing the past year was, to say life-changing is probably an understatement. It was in many ways things I expected, in many ways things I didn't expect. But it really, when I say life-changing, I mean it in a non-figurative manner. My life will never be the same. Like, I look at things different now. I hope it makes a better show for you. I hope it makes a more enjoyable and informative experience. But not all of it was great for me, because sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes ignorance is bliss. And when I had President Trump on the show on Monday, I had mentioned that the threats are from space, they're from the water, they're from the air, they're from the grid, they're digital, they're undersea. The threats are everywhere. I mean, things like you can read in the media. I'm not sharing anything you don't already know, like the cutting of undersea cables. You can read about it all over the Wall Street Journal and national security stories everywhere. This was not as prevalent of a thing over the past few decades as it is now, with more undersea cables, because there's more internet traffic and a need for lines and transmission lines and things like that. These are really serious. Like, you cut enough undersea cables and you cut off the internet, like, a lot of people are going to die. There were really serious threats out there. So I feel like it's my job in context to just warn everyone to just stay prepared. Enjoy your life, enjoy your kids, but please be able to sustain yourself. I've always said this, for a couple of months in the event something bad ever happens. So I talked in the beginning of the show about the 764 threat, which is very real. Monitor those chat rooms your kids are in, restrict their access to friends only, and please watch what they're doing. If you need to keep that computer at the kitchen table rather than in their room, folks, it's worth it. Listen, I don't usually share a lot of stories about my kids. I will share stories about Paula because we're both adults and she's always been part of the show. But we had this same fight with my daughter. I'm not going to go into details, but it's not easy. They want to go into rooms with the phones and they just want to disappear into the digital abyss. If you suspect something's up, get that phone away and get that computer in the kitchen. You're going to get an extinction burst of behavior, but it's worth it. So we talked about that. But I want to talk about something else here too. Folks, the drone threat. Guy thinks this video clip, not this one, but the one I'm going to play in a minute here, is the most interesting part of the show. I think so too. So I don't know. We'll see what you think. Tell me in the chat. Folks, the drone threat is a level 10 threat. And it's a threat for obvious reasons. I've spoken about it many times before. I'm going to give you a few reasons now. The threat from the air by drone attack in the United States and on our forces overseas is a level 10 threat. Believe me, people are very focused on it now. I can't speak about prior administrations because I didn't see a lot of movement. But I promise you, the president, Sebastian Gorka, has done amazing work at this at the White House. Cash and me worked on it. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, all over this problem through Golden Dome. But the threat is real. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when there is an attack over here that resembles what Ukraine did in Russia. It's only a matter of what Russia does in Ukraine, too, with drones. It's only a matter of time. And here's why I'm so concerned about this on show 3 I want to talk about. Number one, it's an asymmetric fight. The technology right now to take down some of these drones is way more expensive than the production costs of producing some shitty drones, putting like a clamp on it and dropping a grenade somewhere. I'm just throwing out numbers. It may cost $10,000 to mitigate it and $100 to create the drone. It's an asymmetric money fight right now. The technology is getting better, so I don't want to scare anyone, but it's not fully there yet. Second, I'll go right into it. The technology cycle. When you talk to experts on the battlefield, which I did a lot of, I was obsessed with the drone problem when I got in there. The technology life cycle from drone to drone interdiction technology to overcoming the interdiction technology in a drone. You get what I mean? Create a drone. We created a way to stop a drone. Well, we're going to create a way to stop the thing you're stopping the drone with. Sometimes is as little as 3 to 4 weeks. In other words, the second you get a technology, they just figure out a way around it. You disrupt radio frequencies. They work off the phone grids. Then they use fiber optic line guided drones. There's 1,000 different ways to get around it. So you have a technology problem, an asymmetric money problem, and you have the easiest one in the world, which should seem obvious. Human beings can't fly. So you get a problem on the ground, like a robot drone dog. You could take it out on the ground, disarm it, approach it. You can't fly. I mean, I think that's fairly obvious. It creates a problem. What do? We got to find another thing that flies to interdict the thing that flies because it ain't us. It is a really serious problem. I bring it up because I was putting together the show yesterday. I was watching some clips on Fox, and I saw John Roberts and the great Caroline Levitt, our amazing press secretary. I saw them talking about another attempted drone hit from Iran on one of our ships. Here's what they said about it. Check this out.
CENTCOM confirms that a U.S. F-35 fighter jet shot down an Iranian Shahed drone that was making an aggressive approach toward the USS Abraham Lincoln. This on the same day that a couple of Iranian gunboats were threatening a U.S.-flagged tanker in the Gulf of the Persian Gulf, threatening to board it. So what is going on, to the best of your knowledge, and what is the president going to do about what appear to be some threatening moves being made by Iran, even as Steve Witkoff prepares to meet with the foreign minister, Aragchi, either in Oman or Turkey on Friday?
Well, sure, John, and thank you for having me today. I did speak with folks over at the Pentagon this morning who said that CENTCOM acted both appropriately and necessarily to protect our U.S. personnel and equipment in the region. So CENTCOM did make the decision to shoot down that Iranian drone.
Now, in light of what I told you in the beginning of the show, when I was talking about the 764 threat and pedophiles and child molesters, everyone trying to recruit your kids in chat rooms, that the way to stop everything is put the FBI and cops in every chat room in America and watch everything all the time. But we don't want that. Nobody wants everyone's civil liberties impacted. We want predicates to crimes first. I gave you both sides. I'm going to give you both sides of the drone story because I'm not a doomer as well. The drone problem is freaking serious, level 10. But the drone technology is also going to work for us too. I just want to throw this up quick because I promised you it's not going to be like a 2-year, hey, look at my resume at the FBI, but some of the stuff was there was relevant to this. So the first FBI drone training center down in Redstone in Alabama, we started that. Big hat tip, Sebastian Gorka, Jimmy, former chief of staff, my chief of staff when I left, Fred, they put all this stuff together, and the guys down in Redstone. And the reason the drone training school that the FBI is coordinating is important is because it's our school, but it's not training our people. It's training what they call SLTTs, state, local, territorial, and tribal officers. Because we can't do it alone, nor would you want the FBI being the sole, responsible party for the drone threat. You have problems in New York City. You have problems in LA. You have problems in Tuscaloosa. Those cops need training too. It's going to take a long time, but the Drone Threat Training Center, the first one, I couldn't be there for the ribbon cutting down there because it was a government shutdown, so there was no travel. So I stayed back. I didn't want to, we couldn't travel at the time. But this is ongoing. It's going to take a while to get a lot of state, local, territorial, tribal officers trained and get them out there in drone mitigation. But I promise you, we're doing something about it. It's just going to take, this is a really, really serious level 10 problem. But on the good news side, not just that everybody's moving on this because they know how bad it is. And Pete is doing amazing work, Secretary Hegseth over at DOW. There are police departments around the country, back to the surveillance thing, like good news, bad news, that have taken advantage of a lot of this drone technology to respond to 911 calls. So it's kind of a good news component in that you're going to have someone, or at least someone, a drone, be able to respond to the scene and see what's going on immediately. Some of these calls that may have taken a half an hour to respond to. The bad news is we better get some good guardrails around what we're allowed to watch and what we're not allowed to watch. Because I don't want a surveillance state, and you don't either. This is Guy's favorite video of the show. Found this one on Instagram. And I've seen this all over the country, not just in Dearborn. Check this out.
Today, we have launched our drone first responder program. We have 6 drones located across the city, and it allows us to respond to any part of this city in less than 2.5 minutes. So like right now, for example, my drone pilot Ryan's standing back there, like for example, what's this run right here? All these red boxes that you see, this is the map, that's one of these runs, it's a traffic stop. And so we can just hit respond here and launch a drone to that traffic stop right here from the building. And you're gonna see here briefly, it's gonna actually, this is launching from the fire station off Outer Drive. What you see here is the actual drone over on the fire station. Ryan's about to launch it and take control of it. And it allows us to get a picture of what's happening. And that live picture representative can not only available to us here in our information center, but can be in the scout cars and in the officer's hands. If you see a drone above you, there's a way for our residents to go onto a transparency dashboard representative and see why that drone was in the sky, why we launched it to bring a level of accountability. So we're not just flying these around without purpose.
On, you want eyeballs on that scene instantly to be able to relay back to the officers and agents responding from the sky. Hey, we've got 2 attackers with this style rifle, dressed in whatever, red hooded sweatshirts. Fantastic. We'd like that, correct? But folks, this show always gives both sides, and we don't bullshit people. There's a problem here. And it's the same problem I was talking about with regards to 764 and other things online. Who's watching the watchers? I promise you, you have my word. And when, I don't know, when when FOIAs and stuff and all this other, I think it's going to come out over time, the record of what we did and what we didn't. I say come out because there's some things I'm not at liberty to talk about. I'm not going to say, hey, we're doing this now at the FBI so the terrorists cannot do that. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's just stupid. That's just being an asshole, using information the taxpayer entrusted you with to to act like, Joey superhero. That's bullshit. But I promise you, Cash is a huge civil libertarian, and so was I. And I'm warning you about this stuff because, folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg with AI and quantum computing. You're going to see these drones being used by police agencies and likely the federal government. And you get the wrong people in charge, folks, this could break really bad, really fast. Let me paint for you a scenario, which if you think is futuristic and not nowistic, you're out of your mind. You get 100 of these drones in a medium-sized town working for the East Tuna Fish Police Department. Imagine them being equipped with computing power you don't even understand when quantum breaks, AI-based technologies, high-resolution cameras that the resolution's like nothing you've seen before, facial ID technology, license plate readers, being able to search the internet in microseconds in a quantum fashion once we get there, even non-quantum. The power of computing is there now to do a lot of this stuff. Being able to search the internet in seconds, even microseconds in the future. Folks, you will have no privacy anymore. I did not lose my civil libertarian bona fides. The technology to surveil and spy on you is there. It is there now. There are no-touch malware programs out there. There's always going to be a balance between your individual liberties and the surveillance state. I promise you, there's a way to go full Minority Report right now. There is. You ever see that Tom Cruise movie? The Precog? We don't have precogs. But there is a way right now with the technologies out there to surveil you and everyone else that if we were a police state, you could drop crime probably another 75, 80%. No one would be free, though, because you'd all get caught up in that dragnet. Do you want to get caught up in a facial ID camera because you're out there like going to see a movie on a Friday night when maybe you should have been at work? Who knows? Maybe you should have gone to work. That's a work problem. Maybe they fire you. It's not a crime. I don't need that getting like a police database getting hacked into. And John Smith was watching the new Gremlins movie on Friday at 4 when he was supposed to be at work. It's not your freaking business. Let work figure it out. Guys, ladies, I've seen a lot of stuff. This surveillance technology is scary. Be very, very careful with calls for more surveillance. I'm comfortable with the people in charge right now that balance has been struck, the use of technology with really, really, really powerful guardrails. I'm comfortable. I'm also telling you that the government is people. It's not gremlins. It's not Casper, the friendly or unfriendly ghost. You get new people in there who don't give a shit about guardrails like we had with the Russia collusion hoax. It doesn't matter how many agencies you have. The FBI, the IBF, the CIA, the DIA, the ABC. It doesn't matter. Bad people will take advantage of it. This is why we have to win elections. Now, next year, the year after that, because there are people on the other side calling Donald Trump a fascist who will weaponize government in a heartbeat the minute they get back in power. And if you don't have people there to stop them and say that's a really freaking bad idea, the technology now is so dangerous that I really do worry. I worry about it as much, if not more sometimes, than I do about an attack from a foreign nation. It is powerful what they can do. Some of the stuff they can do is beyond your wildest imagination. I say that too because in context of a current news story, because most of you are probably aware, some of you actually, I was talking to someone this morning, I was surprised I hadn't heard this story. Really tragic story. Most of you know Savannah Guthrie. I would assume she's like a commentator for, what does she work at? NBC, Jim, do you know? Is she NBC, Savannah Guthrie? I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But Savannah Guthrie, really tragic situation. Her mom, you probably saw it, went missing a couple of days ago. There appears to be malfeasance at the scene. Not misfeasance. It looks like this could be either a kidnapping, an assault, hopefully not a homicide, but it's not a good situation. Given her media profile, obviously this was going to be a news story. I bring this up in context of the technology. I'm not just randomly throwing stories together. There's always a reason for this show. I don't randomly do stuff. When there's a break, there's a break. There was a lot of confusion when I was on the inside too about, what the FBI can do and can't do. In a case like this, we are allowed to assist local law enforcement at their request. We don't come in and take over cases where there's no, red line kind of federal jurisdiction. Like if it's federal crime, it's federal crime. We can come in and not take over, but it's going to be our case. A case like this where there may be a federal crime, may not be, these local police departments typically will ask the FBI for help, but we don't run the case. It's their case. If they ask us for an ERT and an evidence response team to go in there, we can help. If they ask for a CAS team that they basically analyze cell phones, we can help, but it's not our case. But I say that going forward in the future because a lot of the technology we had that we can use to assist is now, as we work with local law enforcement departments more, and Cash and I made that a priority. I'm not telling you we weren't working with law enforcement officers. We had TFOs, task force officers, but we leveled it up 100%. You're going to see some of these technologies that only we had access to start to filter down to law enforcement agencies, the state, local, territorial, and tribal level. And you're going to see a lot of these technologies are going to become pervasive. And I've seen this in some of the, narratives online. They break out. They want to blame everyone for everything, but we get called into support. We're only in a support role, unless it's an obvious federal crime, terrorism or things like that. So these technologies are there, and I would suspect by hopefully pretty soon that they will have a suspect in this case. They may have it already. I haven't been calling anyone, and it's not, I'm on the outside now, and that's their job. I'm going to let them do their thing. All right, well, one more story I wanted to get to from the Washington Post because it's a huge, huge victory. Ladies and gentlemen, you are winning on the messaging thing. We've been talking about framing the left's psychotic positions. We want penises in the women's room. Not a good idea, morons. We would love to defund the police. Voter ID is racist. They are going back. They have learned nothing from their electoral experience with Donald Trump, and they are right back to taking crazy, lunatic, fringe positions they've always taken. They have no allegiance to the truth whatsoever. The good news is, bad news, good news, bad news, good news. We're always going to give you the full picture here. We are winning. This Washington Post story is a huge deal. Folks, these medical groups and doctors and hospitals that were mutilating these kids, supposedly you can't transition your gender. Your gender's your gender. You see the Washington Post here? First major medical group opposes gender transition surgeries for youth. Listen, doctor, I'm not a doctor. We can all acknowledge that. I'm not Dr. Dan Bongino. I've never been a doctor. Took the MCATs, didn't get into medical school, not a doctor. There are doctors in the chat, though. You can attest. If I'm lying, tell me in the chat. A lot of these medical groups, not all of them, but a good portion of them are run by big-time liberals. And a lot of these medical groups are like, this is scientifically backed gender transition. You're either going to get a trans child or a dead child. There was no evidence to back that up at all. It was always bullshit designed to pressure parents to mutilate their kids. You need to, in many states, ID to vote. Why? Because they want to make sure you're of age and you're the person. You need ID to buy alcohol. Why did we decide you have to be 21 to buy alcohol? Because we don't want 15-year-olds who don't have fully formed brains and their judgment is not all there to be drinking alcohol to make them even more impaired. We treat children like children and they have fewer rights. We don't let kids drive. We don't let 9-year-olds go out and buy guns. We don't do that, not because they don't have rights, because those rights are designed for fully functioning adults who've developed the maturity to understand what those rights are. We have always treated children differently, except liberals when it comes to cutting nuts off. You want to cut a kid's nuts off, they're like, nah, cut him off. But the kid's 9. He didn't even know what his nuts do yet. Cut him off. It's okay. And it's true. And these medical associations run by liberals like, this is scientifically bad. Cutting a kid's nuts off? They can't get the nuts back. They don't go in a jar. You're mutilating these kids for life. It's stunning it took this long for a lot of these medical organizations to even start to speak out. But I'm going to tell you something. You know what made a huge difference here? This always makes a huge difference. And, listen, this is one of those things that our legal system has its good and its bad. There's a lot of unnecessary, expensive litigation that goes on in the country that costs innocent people billions of dollars. The legal system needs reforms too. But the legal system does a lot of good things. And when a lot of these hospitals and doctors start getting sued by some of these kids who had their nuts cut off or their breasts cut off, who now turn 18 or 21 and realize this is not reversible and their bodies have been permanently harmed, when they start suing the hell out of these medical institutions, you're going to see insurance companies are going to say, we're not paying for this because money talks, folks, and bullshit walks. And if you can't go into court with scientifically backed, rigorous data showing you did this for a medically backed reason, what happened to the Hippocratic Oath? Do no harm. If you can't prove that in court, you are going to have yourself a damn big problem. This is just the first. It was, did you see the story, Jim? It's like a $2 million lawsuit the other day they lost against, they call them detransitioners. I would argue there's no transitioning. Your gender is your gender. There is no transition. It doesn't make you a man, a woman, or a woman, a man. You're never going to do that. And you read some of these horror stories online about what happened to these children's bodies. Folks, they're never going to be the same. So for all our legal system's problems, in the end, they get a lot of things right. And this is one of them. You are going to see insurance companies for these hospitals say, we are not paying. We're publicly traded companies. We have shareholders. We will go out of business. You want to do these surgeries? You're on your own. And when those doctors and hospitals realize that the liability is personal, in other words, Dr. Jones can be sued himself, they're going to, I ain't doing it. Well, I thought it was science-backed. You're protected in other ways, right? You do a treatment. You're protected in other ways. You'll go to court and defend the cancer treatment, even if the patient dies. If you did the right thing, you have the science on your side. Why won't you do this? Because you know the science is not on your side. You absolutely know it. So, folks, regarding the new format for the show, we will be going 10 to right around noon every day, Monday through Friday, rumble.com/Bongino. If you could do us a big favor, I don't like a lot of asks. I don't like to impose a lot on the audience. As I've said to you from the start, the show is about delivering a product to you free of charge. It is not about asking anything of you in reverse. However, once in a while, I do need an ask from you. If you would go to rumble.com/Bongino, click that follow button. We'd really appreciate it. You can get notifications when the show goes live. You can always watch the show. After it airs, it'll wrap up at around 12 noon every day. You can check out Haley after that, rumble.com/Haley, 2 Ys. Please watch a video on demand later. Spread the word. It's been an amazing launch. After a year off, I'm just going to be straight with you. We were, I think me and the whole team, you've been gone a year. People move on. They have lives. The world's not about me, folks. I did my own thing. I came back. I'm not expecting everyone. Oh, look at that. They got a little graphic there. Rumble.com/Bongino. Click the little subscribe. And there's a thank you they put up there. Very nice, guys. But I was a little worried, especially given that the whole live streaming ecosystem, audiences are down in the political space. A little worried you weren't going to. I'm now, after 3 days of just blockbuster numbers, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I really love you guys. people move on, and to see you all come back in droves and basically the same audience I left with after a year gone, and, feeds atrophy, people unfollow stuff, is just really an honor. But we will be going forward. We are going to have guests, maybe not every day, but most of the time. Tell me and give me your feedback as the show goes on. Let me know if the guest segments are working for you or not. If they're not, we'll change the format of the show. It's fine. But I really like hearing from guests because, I feel like I got really good inputs on stuff. I think the numbers show, but other people have valuable inputs too. And I'm not a SME, subject matter expert, on every single thing. So when we got the guest lineup set up for next week, I'll tell you, hopefully by tomorrow, Friday, we got some really good ones. And if you have guest suggestions, let us know. We'd be happy to hear it. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. Please, rumble.com/Bongino. Give us a follow. Check out Haley's show at noon. Rumble.com/Haley. Vince is on at 8 a.m. Amazing show. Rumble.com/Vince. Can always check their shows out. We really appreciate it. I will see you back here tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report channel.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.